And good morning, everybody. It's time now for Putnam County Today here on 94.3 WREB. With us, Sue Murray, Mayor of Greencastle, and we've got a Common Council meeting coming up.
Common Council meeting is coming up, indeed, a regular session, and actually is, aside from people planning for the spring already, so we've got the Farmers Market street closures coming, DePauw's Little 500 street closures, Custom Cycle has 2 requests.
Right.
So I think, you know, the little bit of springtime we had over the weekend is got
Which was
people,
good.
Yeah, it was great. Thinking that we better start planning for what's
right.
going to happen in this new year when the weather's that way every day.
That's right.
So we have a number of those kinds of requests coming. We have a resolution for the council that's going to say the $770,000 you got from Indiana Housing, we should go ahead and use that to build the 11 lofts that we had talked about on the second floor. So we actually need authorization from the council to go ahead and to accept that grant. So we'll be doing that too.
Well, it sounds pretty good. And of course, I want to remind folks real quickly, it's at 7
o'clock.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock at City Hall, and it's carried on Channel 3, so Cable Access carries it live. But most certainly, people are always welcome to come. Meetings are indeed open, and 7 o'clock, second Tuesday of the month.
Now, the council's changing a little bit now too, right?
It will be changing with this election coming up in November. When we in the 2010 census went over the 10,000 mark, we became a little different in terms of how the state looks at how our city should be organized. And we actually need to add 2 council seats. So after that, we went through and kind of looked at where the numbers were, how many people were in each one of the 4th wards, and were we going to try and add wards and redistrict people. And our decision was, because there wasn't huge disparities between the wards, that we would go ahead and at this point in time, we would add 2 new at-large seats. So we'll have 4 council people representing the individual 4 wards, and then we'll have 3 at-large. And so council of 7 instead of 5.
Which will be a little
January
different.
1st.
That's right. So that'll be a little different, right?
Yes, it will be.
Because it's a lot easier to get 5 people together rather than 7, right?
Yeah, well, hopefully the people who are running for office are people who are committed and realize that that second Tuesday is sacrosanct and they need to be there every month, and that they need to anticipate that as part of their regular schedule, as well as the other obligations based on different committees in different areas that individual councilors are interested in pursuing.
All right. I take it the street department, everybody's really happy with such a mild winter so far.
They're not disappointed. I'll tell you what, anytime you can save money on product and overtime, it really does wonders for your budget as you go through the year. But they have, interestingly enough, when they've been called out, it's been at night, middle of the night, or over the weekend, and they've done a pretty amazing job keeping us all safely on the roads. Even though we haven't had the quantity of snow, we've had those mornings with black ice and accumulation that can make it pretty hazardous. And they have been out there doing their job and making sure that when we all get up and come into work.
Now, I come in a little early, and I've got to say a big plus for the Department of Works people. There was one morning I come in where the county hadn't been out. The state had barely touched things, but when I got into the city of Greencastle, they were all clean.
I tell you what, Brad Phillips, who's the commissioner for that department, I don't think he sleeps. I honestly don't think he sleeps, because what happens is he'll let me know in the morning, he goes, well, I called my crew in at such and such a time, and we're going to work for these 12 hours, and then we'll split it off again. And so he's always on top of it. Dispatch calls him, and if dispatch isn't calling him to say that there's a road that needs some treatment somewhere, he's up checking it out himself. So I think he has done a marvelous job.
I think so too, and our hats off to those people, because they'll go right in from removing snow right in to start working on roads.
They will. They absolutely. They change seasons. You get through with the leaves, and all of a sudden the plows come. So, no, they do, and they're willing to get up at all hours of the day and night, and as I say, they do yeoman's work, and I'm sure people don't think about them in the same vein as they think about police and fire, because they know their schedule, but these folks give tirelessly, and their families sacrifice too.
And they've done a wonderful job, even though it hasn't been too bad this winter, which I'm kind of glad for their sake.
Me too.
Well, speaking of roads, let's talk about some construction around town. I know things are not getting started quite as quickly as you'd like.
No, we've had a lot of disappointments when it comes to this Vine Street project. This is our last major stellar project
Right.
that's sitting out there. And we had hoped to do a January letting, which we did. We only got 2 bids. NDOT requires 3 bids
Right.
without special circumstances. So that in and of itself was a problem. But the 2 bids we got were significantly over engineer's estimate. And that was frustrating. So we have been meeting, and we met with NDOT officials last week, as well as the engineering firm that's been working on these plans. And we changed some things in terms of depth of some
Right.
drainage pipes and, some of the other infrastructure things that are part of this project, and hoped that we had made it a little more attractive perhaps to bid, and that people would come back and we would be closer to what we had anticipated in terms of costs. The idea was to get it on a March letting, the first
Right.
week in March, and I received notification just today that it is not going on the March letting. It'll go on an April letting, and that April letting, of course, is going to have a dramatic impact on when that road is finished.
Right.
So we had hoped to get it open by August, and now it obviously is not going to be open by August. So we have a lot of dates to adjust, and again, it's such a disruptive part of the
Right.
community that you really hope that you could do it at a time where the traffic in there is maybe diminished at least a
Yeah.
little bit. So it's not going to be an easy build, but it's an essential build, not just for aesthetics, but all the drainage work that we did on Indiana Street and into the new parking lot is essential to be able to pick up this coming off
Right.
Vine Street too. And so to make it all safer downtown, it's got to happen. And there's a lot of pipe that has to go in, and that's why we want to do the project. It's not just milling and making it look pretty.
Right, exactly. And so this will probably put you back, what, another couple months?
Probably.
Yeah. So, and I know people get tired of all the construction downtown, but, all you need to do is look at Indiana Street at this point.
I hope
And
everybody
it's
will
kind of
keep
like,
looking
and
at it.
it's kind of like, this is what it's going to look like.
It is what it's going to look like. And,
Yeah.
I guess I'm going to start looking for silver linings on
Sure.
all of this, because we have facade projects that are going to
Right.
be going out for bids. And, we're going to be asking people to deal with construction with those facade projects, which are immediately going to be followed by the second floor loft projects.
Right.
So we've got a lot that's still going to be going on, and so maybe it's just helping us manage that a little better.
Well,
At least that's what I'm going to tell myself.
Okay, that'll work. What else is coming up? We're kind of starting to transition out of the winter weather. People starting
You're
to venture
optimistic.
out. I am
You are
optimistic, But after this past weekend, I'm thinking, spring's got to be right around the corner. And of course, all kinds of stuff coming up this spring.
Right. Aside from the activities already mentioned that are going to be starting, we also are working on what roads we're going to be doing,
Right.
the city is going to be doing, and those will be the milling and the resurfacing kinds of things. We're also getting our sidewalk list together.
Right.
So I would encourage people, if you've got particular areas of sidewalk that you're really concerned about the safety of those areas, please either contact my office or the Department of Public Works so we can get everybody out there and evaluate. And we obviously have to do a point system, a priority system, but I also want people to remember that we do have a 50-50 cost share program
Right.
for sidewalks. And if they have a sidewalk that maybe they're thinking it's not looking as good as it might, but it doesn't reach the threshold of it being completely problematic for
Right.
someone to walk down, they can call and have that evaluated and see if they would like to pay 50% of that repair, or just wait till it comes up on the DPW schedule.
All
So
right.
that's also out there for folks.
All right. And of course, want to remind folks too that farmers market's going to get underway here earlier this year.
April 25th
Yeah.
is going to be the kickoff for the market, and I'm not sure how much produce people will find, but most certainly we're encouraging those
Right.
folks who have specialized talents and crafts, and the bakers and the jelly makers, and
Oh, yeah.
please come and please bring your things. We have a special day going on that day, that we're going to be celebrating Earth Day.
Right.
But aside from the opening of the market, the Fifth House Ensemble will also be
Right.
there performing. So it should be hopefully wonderful day like it was this past
I'm
Saturday.
hoping,
and
yeah.
we can all get out there.
Now, I'm not so sure you're gonna have a lot of produce that early,
No,
but
no,
I I may be wrong. Somebody may have a nice greenhouse that they're growing stuff in right now.
We can only hope. But
Exactly.
the only way to find out is to come to the market.
That's right.
Yeah.
Real quickly, want to make a reminder to folks about the council meeting on Tuesday night,
7 o'clock.
and all they need to do is come to the city hall.
All
right?
they need to do is come or turn on Channel 3, and remember, you can turn on Channel 3 every day for
right.
the rest of the month and see the council meeting if you have other things going on tomorrow night.
All right. Well, thanks, Sue. We appreciate you taking time to be with us today,
Pleasure.
and looking forward to
always.
some spring.
Okay, we all are.
All right.
Thank you, John.
Don't forget, if you're a nonprofit group or community organization, you'd like some free airtime here on WREB, you too can be a part of Putnam County Today. Give us a call at 653-9717.